So I'd like to make a few comments about this question, which is what a high impact journal looks for in a paper. And of course, the first question you could ask is what does that mean? What is a high impact journal? So there is a general idea that it's a journal which is very influential in the field, so which publishes paper who have a real impact in terms of clinical practice, in terms of research. So, but that's a quite vague definition, and therefore people try to see how this could be measured, and we have a matrix which is called the impact factor, and so this is not exactly the same question, but unfortunately you will see this has become the way the journal work, because they want to have a high impact factor as a way to be recognized as a high impact journal in general. And I'm saying that because it should be just a metric saying how good is the journal, how is doing the journal, but it became much more than that, and it has driven a number of changes in the journal and a number of different ways to approach manuscript by the editors, which are useful to know when you are an author and you're submitting to this high impact or high impact factor journal. So let's talk a little bit about the impact factor, and I'm not going to discuss the validity of it. I was thinking in preparing this presentation of a journal called Respiratory Care. This is a journal of the American Association of Respiratory Therapists, and they publish extremely interesting, very focused journals about mechanical ventilation, but their impact factor is around 2, and it indicates that it's not reflecting really the quality, it's reflecting what's happening in the field. Sorry, someone has to mute. So the way the impact factor is calculated, sorry. I should be able to mute people. Okay, it's done. Okay, sorry for that. So the way it is calculated, it's a number of citations within 1 year of the articles published in the last 2 years in a given journal. So the impact factor of 2019 is the number of citations which appeared everywhere in 2019 about papers published in the journal in 2017 and 2018. So one of the important points here is to notice that it's a ratio. It's a ratio, meaning that for the journals to try to increase their impact factor, they try to have papers who have a lot of citations, that's the numerator, but they are also playing a lot with the denominator, and in particular, they are trying often to limit or reduce the number of published papers, because this will be good for this calculation. Just an example, if you go to the Journal of Citation Reports and you can see the list for critical care, just the first journals, Lancet Respiratory Medicine, you see the impact factor around 25. So remember, this means that on average, each paper has been cited twice that number. intensive care medicine and the blue journal around 17, and then you go down to chest about 8. It's funny that you need a journal to publish that. And I think the reason why we need a journal is that nobody knows exactly what are the rules. I gave you the equation, but which papers are in the denominator, it's not completely clear. Are editorials in it, are review articles? So review articles are usually in the denominator, editorials not, but it depends, and it's not completely predictable. That's why there's a journal, and that's why everybody is waiting, usually in June, to see, well, everybody interested by that, to see these numbers coming out. So what are the bad aspect of being too much focused on the impact factor by journal? Well, the number one is that a number of journals have reduced their denominator by cutting the number of original articles. I'm sure you can think of example. If you look at the first one in the list of critical care, they publish very few original contributions, which are those you are sure are contained in the denominator. So that's part of the game. Another part is that a number of journals have decided to eliminate the fields which are less cited, experimental, pediatric, basic science. And it's true today that if you do basic science, it may be harder to publish in high impact factor journals because it has been discarded from the high clinical journals. They also propose formats which do not count in the denominator. That's why now a number of journals propose some research letters which are short, limited number of authors, no abstract, no no online supplement. And the reason is that the journals hope that it will not be counted in the denominator, otherwise it will impact their impact factor. This is one of the reasons the journals have decided to have family of journals. It's not the only reason. For instance, go to ICM Experimental or go to the Red Journal if you do basic science. And again, it's not an issue about quality of the science, it's about this calculation. At the opposite, they like to have very highly cited guidelines, gold for COPD, surviving sepsis guidelines for critical care. And ultimately, they would like to publish highly citable review articles or original articles. The good news is that no one is really very good at predicting which one will be highly cited. So you have always a chance. But you need to understand that these journals and the editors will have this in mind, even if they say, I just want to be completely serving science. Well, they're also serving their journal and the impact factor, which also makes sense. So these journals and the editors will look for something novel, and of course something which can be influential. So novel means that it is not the replication or the confirmation of something which has been already published elsewhere. Okay, so you have always something which is novel. It depends whether it's really novel, completely novel, or it's part of it because so it's a difference between just you confirm in a different settings what has been shown before, or you really discover something new. So that's up to you to sell that a little bit. Of course, what's real impact is that if it can change practice and is actionable. So that's the so what question. Okay, if we publish that, what are the consequences? And these consequences can be clinical, so it changed practice, and that's the case with this large randomized control trial which published in the New England, which showed that this drug makes a difference in COVID patients. So that's an impact direct on practice. But if it changes a research field, not yet the clinical field, that's also very important, because all these journals are made and done and for researcher, right? So you have to think who cares, and that may be only research, but that will be also important for the journal. I will come back to that, but the papers are reviewed quite, let's say, not quickly, but rapidly by the editors. So they will look at, is the methodology looking strong? And if it does not look impeccable, that's really bad. A classical example, you have done a kind of biomarker study, but you have no validation cohort. Okay, forget it. You can send us the paper back when you will have validated in an independent cohort. It has been said several times, but the style, the writing must be impeccable, because again, if you go through it, you read it and you look at the number of typos or difficult abbreviation. This is terrible. This you will look bad, and as such, well, it gives a bad impression. So same thing for review articles. So the classical question when you write anything is, who are you writing for, or to whom? And I would say when you write a scientific paper, you're writing first for reviewers, because they will ultimately decide whether your paper can be acceptable or not. And that's important, because in your field, you have to think who could be the reviewers and how can I convincingly show my case. But what I'm telling you in addition is that you also need to think about the editors. And that's, I think, the general message here, that especially you go to high impact journals, they will have this issue of how citable is your paper and what's the message. For instance, in the Blue Journal, our direct reject is about 50-60%. I think in critical care we are a little bit above that, which means we take the decision quite before the review quite frequently. So it's probably useful to know a little bit about the journal, who is running the journal. Is there a specific critical care editor? If you go to JAMA, in the Blue Journal, you may have a look and say, oh, there are people from Toronto I know, maybe I can talk to them before sending my paper. Yes, I think we all give advice very often, and very often in not definitive advice, but to say maybe you should present it this way, or if you have this additional information that would be useful. So yes, you can do that for sure. This is a slide, not a recent one, but from the Blue Journal, and it gives a number of papers submitted about critical care per year. This is just the original contribution. So now we have much more letters. So you have to add the letter, the review articles, the editorials. But it's just to say that on average, an associate editor has about at least 2 papers per week to appraise, to read. So the deputy editor will have maybe 4 times this number. The editor-in-chief will have 3 times this number. So it's a lot of paper. It's a lot of time for the editors to look at this paper, and everything you can do to facilitate the reading and the perception of this important question about what's the importance of your paper will be very helpful. So a high impact journal and is a larger audience than the lower impact journal. I think you need to keep that in mind. It means that you are not talking to your own club of friends, and abbreviation is a way to stay in your club. Abbreviation acronyms, because you know, you can give the explanation the first time, but then if it's an unusual abbreviation, it's impossible to read the conclusion without knowing all this abbreviation. It's absolutely terrible. You should think that everything you believe is well known. Is not. It may not be obvious or granted, and you have to be explicit about why you do that and what can be the impact. Really think about the impact, and this will be in the title, in the abstract, in the conclusion, right? You should be able to get the message and the potential impact by reading these parts. I always think that I don't think you should write for the lay press, but think about if you had to explain your findings to the lay press and how you would explain it. So it's not the same thing, of course, but can help you to present things very clearly and be very explicit, because different reviewers or editors may have their own ideas which may be different from yours. I just took a few examples from the Blue Journal. This is a relatively old one. These were the critical care papers. And of course, it depends when they were published, but to show the number of citations. So this was retrieved in April 2018. These were papers with high citations. And you know, you have, okay, one at 200, one at 100, two at 100, and then you go down to 60, 50. So it's not a lot of citations. So you don't have big margins. That's why the editors are concerned by that. And just as an example, this is one of the guidelines I mentioned, the GOLD, which is the classification for COPD for the Blue Journal. So that's not critical care, that's the whole field. You see 800 citations. So that's really good for journals like that. And that's the guidelines for IPF, and that's the guideline for ARDS, mechanical ventilation. Eddie Fan, first author. So that's very good, but there are a lot of guidelines which are not very well cited. And surprisingly, the review articles are not that well cited. So if you think of writing a review articles, you need to be really careful in selecting the good topic and discussing with the journal before, because the journals may be reluctant to publish something which is too specialized or a low likelihood for citation. Okay, I'm not going to detail everything, and just wish you good luck when you submit. I think there is always a part of luck, but there is a lot about really thinking carefully and following all the advice which has been given before. Thank you.